My name is Sasa Sestic. I'm a World Barista Champion 2015 and founder of Honor Coffee and Project Origin.
굉장히 한국 분들이 바리스타님 많이 좋아하시고 바리스타님의 레시피를 많이 궁금해하실 것 같아요. 그래서 오늘 불행 레시피 따뜻한 것과 아이스 좀 알려주실 수 있으실까요?
Yeah, of course. My recipe is a little bit different. As I brew, we can talk through it. It's a 5-stage brew. I'll be pouring 18 grams in, and the first pour will be 50 grams, second pour 70 grams, third pour 50 grams, fourth pour 50 grams, and finally fifth pour will be 50 grams. In about 2 minutes and 10, my last pour will be poured at, so 18 in to 70 out. So that's the recipe.
이거는 저희가 흔히 살 수 없는 필터인가요?
I like Harrier filters, also use Abaca filters as well. I think they're both great quality. They both have a lot of different filters, but they are the ones that I'm using at the moment. I'm gonna make a small cut on this filter at the bottom, and the reason why I do that is it just gives me a more even flow when it goes in the kettle at the bottom. Yeah, I think one of the important steps is when we are setting up for Paragon extract chilling technique, we'd love to see rock to be just almost touching the paper filter. This setup is pretty good because the reason why is if we have a rock that's going to be sitting this below the extraction, we're going to lose a lot more aroma volatiles because the hot temperature is going to be traveling all the way, and in this distance we are going to lose more aromas. So this is the reason why we have this ice rock here, to make sure that we reduce the loss of aroma volatiles in the beverage itself. So I'll grind some coffee.
와, 너무 좋다, 향이. EK로 몇에 가셨어요?
EK
Yeah.
13.4.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going a little bit coarser than usual, and the reason why I prefer to grind coffee coarser for filter is when we grind coarse as opposed to fine, we have a lot more aroma volatiles that are available for us. So if we have the same coffee and we go 13.5 or 11, we will have more aroma volatiles at 13.5.
커피에 대해서 한번 소개해 주실 수 있으세요?
So this coffee is Iris Estate. It's a farm from Panama that I've started together with Jamison in 2017. It's a beautiful estate in Volcan. Carbonic maceration process. This is Enigma profile, so it's extended fermentation, about 5-6 days. Controlled temperatures, as well as coffee was finished as a natural process in a cherry. All right, so we'll 18 grams, as I mentioned earlier.
린싱은 안 해주시는 건가요?
So for these coffees and for a lot of natural processed coffees, carbonic, absolutely no rinsing the filter. You know, during the lockdown, I spent a lot of time at home brewing coffee, and it really pushed me to think a little bit differently how I think about brewing. Make one with, rinse filter, one without, mark underneath, mix them up and have a taste. I have been doing that for about 2 years at home with my wife, and I found a pattern for what sort of style of coffees is my personal preference to do non-rinsing. Washed coffees is not much difference. I found slight preference for rinsed over non-rinsed. Next step, I make a small well right in the middle, and again, the reason I do this well is I'd love water to come right in the middle straight away and then go on the outside. This allows me very even saturation. If we have a case of, like traditionally, how we prepare coffee, we don't really know where water is gonna go. Water might wanna go a little bit on this side, a little bit more on the left side, and we might have some of the dry pockets inside of this, entire area, some dry pockets that we don't really get in first 5 to 7 seconds. Sometimes, as I mentioned, when people do a second pour of the coffee, we might see the bubbles coming out. That's indication for us that the bloom was not very even. My goal is to make really as even bloom as possible by allowing more surface area, water to touch more surface area of the coffees throughout the pack, evenly saturate the grinds as fast as possible as well. I normally would use a kettle with the largest spout for this pour because the goal is to put water as fast as possible in the middle and outside. I'm sorry, I don't have a large gooseneck for this one, so it will be a little bit slower. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Well, I'm not ready. The reason I'm not ready is I don't have a rock.
Wow.
We've done testing with the rock where we have a temperature minus 40, 30, minus 20, 0 degrees and plus 10 degrees. And with all of the testing we've done, we've learned that the rock needs to be sitting on about between minus 10 to minus 20 in that area. If it's sitting between minus 10 or maybe minus 40, we did not see significant taste difference. We also were studying the volatile compounds in university, the readings were the same. But the moment the rock starts cooling down to like 0 or plus, we did not capture as many aroma aroma volatiles as we could capture when we were on Ahnstar. Any normal freezer, it's okay. If you keep it out of the freezer for 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, it's still okay because it's going to remain the cold temperature for a longer time. And it also doesn't take long time to freeze. We have a special liquid inside, so it takes less than 1 hour for rock to be completely frozen. Right, let's do it.
Okay.
So the goal is that the rock is almost touching the extraction, it's not disturbing the extraction, and you can see that it's going all around the rock and comes right in the middle. So not only the cold temperature is helping us to capture more volatile, but the shape of the rock, because it allows really thin layer to go throughout. Second pour is the most extreme pour. So what I'm doing with the second pour at 35 seconds, I will pour right in the middle really fast. And then slow down the pour, and at 120 stop. And the reason I do that is I want to lift up the fines and the grinds, separate them. Because when we pour really fast, think of it like a waterfall. The water is coming, Niagara Falls, falling all the way down and then slowly rising up. That's exactly what I want to do, because if water can go really fast and then the water climbs up, what's going to do, it's going to pick up the lighter density coffee to stay on the top and the heavier density to stay at the bottom. So I can extract a lot more larger particles because it's at the bottom, and I extract a lot less the finer particles because they stay on the top. Meaning that finer particles with the smaller extraction, we don't push bitterness from them as much, we don't over extract them, and the larger particles we spend enough time extracting this to make sure we can bring that flavor to dominate. So you can see that we're spending a lot more time at the bottom than what we're spending on the top. And so we're just getting enough sweetness from the fines on the top, enough body, enough texture, without pushing it way too much. And you've noticed me that I've poured only the first 2 pours with the Paragon rocks, and that's because we've measured that majority of the aroma volatiles for this particular coffee, we extract in first 30% of the extraction. So now there's no need to be using the Paragon rock. And in some coffees, that's up to barista to see what their preference is. With some coffees, you might want to extract it for first 40% with the Paragon. Some Liberica coffees up to 50%. But I found with the wash process coffee, 20 to 25% is ideal. Anaerobic coffee or this carbonic maceration, first 2 pours, which is about 33% of the extraction. But we never extract the last part. So it's not that we extract without the first bit and then after first 2 pours we put it here. And the reason why is because when we're extracting most of the flavors, most of the fruity aromas, we capture in the first stage of extraction. And then in the last stage of extraction, we don't get that many aromas, but we're just getting dilution, etc.
지금 물 온도는 몇 도로 써주셨어요?
93 degrees. Have a smell.
이게 대회 때도 똑같은 컵을 사용하셨나요?
Yes, same.
그러면 대회 때는 포트를 뭐 쓰셨어요?
I used this one for last 2 pours, and I had the other one at home that had a wider spout for first 3 pours. Because when I was pouring my second pour, I've gone really fast and aggressive. Have as much flow of water as possible. Because when we have that really high level of flow of the water, like water comes at the bottom and then slowly rises. And when the water is rising, we are collecting most of the fines and they're going on the top of the surface. And then with my third and fourth and fifth pour, when I was pouring really slow and steady, this obviously kettle like this is fine or kettle like that is fine, because we just want to pour in the center very slow and gentle, just to allow water to rise on the level and then drops. You can see here when we have these fines on the top, we don't extract them as much as we extract coffee that's at the bottom. So coffee at the bottom here, and you can see that difference in they're nice and big and chunky. So we spend more time extracting them to build a flavor, and we spend less time extracting these smaller fines that are on the walls to just get enough sweetness, body and balance without over extracting it. So let's have a taste.
Okay.
I'd recommend you enjoy it from hot temperature, warm and cool temperature. As it cools down, it becomes more lactic, more creamy, more confectionery.
대회 보는 것 같아.
Cheers.
와, 엄청 크리미하다. 라즈베리 초콜릿 같은데 텍스처가 되게 좋은 라즈베리 초콜릿 같아요. 아니면 약간 라즈베리 샴페인 같은 느낌도 나요.
And it's gonna get even creamy as it cools. So for me now, hot, I'm personally getting kind of a lot of dark cherries, quite a bit of raspberries, some of the florals, but more like a pink floral. But now in the second sip, when it's cooling down a little bit more, there's that bit of pineapple is coming in, like really nice little confectionery, almost like a lolly pineapple. Acidity for me, it's more champagne, and the creaminess we're getting, that's because of the carbonic maceration fermentation process, fermenting the coffee to attract as much of lactobacillus bacteria. And LB bacteria helps to really elevate that creaminess in a cup.
아까 보니까 4, 5차 정도 부을 때는 커피 물이 다 빠지고 다시 부어주던데 그 이유가 있는지.
Oh, you're very good. Your observation is amazing. Yeah, good questions. And it's actually, I haven't mentioned that sometimes I would wait for longer. So we will wait for coffee to fully drain. And if we're using a coffee that's like washed coffee or delicate coffee or gentle coffee, I would wait another 5 seconds. And by waiting a little bit longer in between brews, we will increase extraction and we'll get more body and more sweetness and more depth out of the coffee. If I was not gonna wait for the full pour and I just like pour a little bit faster than what I did, we would not get this creaminess, this lactic as much. So I wanted to kind of pour as slow as possible as I need to, wait for it to fully drain before I pour the next one. Not too late because I'll attract some bitterness. Not too early because I will reduce this creaminess. So that's how I can control the balance of the body and the extracting enough body, too much or not enough.
근데 이게 지금 CM 프로세싱을 이렇게 내리셨는데 혹시 워시드나 내추럴 이 커피의 가공 방식에 따라서 브링 메소드가 많이 변할까요?
Yes, absolutely. If I was gonna use even a CM process that we call diamond profile, which is a very clean, very elegant profile, coffee that Agnieszka used to win World Barista Championships, but of course I pour it differently. You know, it's more the way I see it is when we taste the coffee to go, hey, what else do we like? Do we love this creaminess? And are we getting too much body? Do we have enough flavor? If we don't have enough flavor, I might use the Paragon technique a little bit longer to build more flavor. If we don't have enough body, then we might wait longer in between the pours and blooms to develop it. If you're not entirely satisfied with the acidity, I'd be looking at staging the kettles and having different temperatures. But my philosophy is always, whenever I'm brewing the coffee, I always look at what's the farm like, what's the potential of the farm.
영상을 보시는 저희 구독자분들이 이걸 따라 하셔야 되는데 커피가 바뀌면은 바꾸는 변수 중에서 가장 크게 제일 먼저 바꾸는 변수는 어떤 게 있을까요?
Washed geisha from the same farm, just the wash process. I'd be straight away considering washed geisha. We need to highlight jasmine, florals, citrus notes. They're the things we want to highlight. Usually the issue with the washed geisha coffee is not enough body. We'd love more sweetness, we'd love more creaminess. The first step I would be looking at possibly upping the dose, because when we have a 20-gram dose, we can get more body. When we have a 15-gram dose, we get more clarity. For anaerobic coffees, we want to make them clean because they don't naturally come as clean. So the dose can help us to bring that sort of clarity by changing the dose. Second step is, of course, we can look at changing the grind, but as I mentioned earlier, I prefer to grind as coarse as I can in order to get more aromas and manage the body and the acidity with the temperature and the way I brew. For washed coffees, I definitely would pour my second pour not at 35 seconds, maybe at 50 seconds, because between the bloom and the first pour, if we wait a little bit longer, we will get more sweetness. So that would be one of the steps as well. I'd go all 5 pours, minimum 93 degrees, wait a little bit longer between each one of the pours. So instead of finishing my coffee at 210 or 206, which I finished today, maybe finish the last pour at 215, 220. So that will give us a bit more body, a bit more sweetness, just with these small key decisions. So I do want to show you something actually, which is really cool. So this is the coffee you just had. We've done work with Zurich University. We sent them the samples of the same coffee and they tested the aroma volatiles of the coffee. So here you can see all of the different aroma volatile compounds that are present in this particular coffee. This orange line means that we did not do chilling, just normal. And this means that we've done a first 2 pours chilling, just like what you experienced today. So we can actually see that increase of the aroma volatile compounds when we use extract chilling. And beauty with that is we can isolate and we know exactly which aroma volatile compounds will increase by how much. So with the studies that we've done with Dr. Samo and Professor Chahan, is Samo was testing Irish estate coffee only washed process. And then he managed to pick all of the different volatiles that we have in the wash process. Then we sent them the coffee with this one, carbonic maceration process. And they said, well, we can see these volatiles with the wash process, but then with the carbonic maceration, they've increased. So we know, like with the process that we've done, we know which aromas, volatiles we can increase more throughout the processing. And Professor Chahan was in charge of, okay, now that we have this coffee that's on a high level, how we can use brewing technology to increase it even more. And that's where the Paragon was born, the idea of Paragon and the extract chilling. brewing, because we can see exactly what aroma volatiles we have increased, what's the percentage that we increase some of them with different brewing techniques. Like there's, for example, Kenyan coffee, Kenyan natural coffee that we've done work. We can see here all of the different aroma volatile compounds that we found in this particular coffee. Blue line is unchilled, first 2 pours are fully chilled. So we know that with every different coffee, we can't just be doing a 2 pours. With some of the natural processed coffees, as I mentioned, we want to chill them a little bit longer. And you can see the difference with this family of aroma volatiles, we managed to increase by 50%. You know, some of the aromas we increased by 30%, etc. The reason we have such a bigger increase here than there is because they are heavy aroma volatiles on this side. It means they do not evaporate as fast. But beauty with these heavy aroma volatiles, they are the ones that are giving us this beautiful, you know, fruity floral characters.
근데 이 도표를 보면은 어떤 아로마는 좀 내려와서 추출이 덜 된 것 같은데 이거는 좀 부정적인 효과는 없나요?
Yeah, and that's why it's really important. The ones that we concentrate on getting are the ones on this side. And sometimes with some coffees, if you extract chill for 2 pours, you will get better sensory evaluation. But sometimes when you extract for 5 pours, you will not really get that complexity. So what we normally tell people, like when you're comparing a Paragon versus no Paragon, the safe thing is to extract up to 2 pours. And then if you see, because if you are extract chilling the full coffee, the full amount, what usually happens is that the body drops down. And for some coffees that's a positive, because if you have coffee like Liberica, you have too much body and it's like meaty, or some elements are not pleasant, extract chilling almost entire extraction, you reduce that body to make it silky and creamy, so it's a benefit for that coffee. If you're working with a wash process geisha coffee, we don't want to be extract chilling entire extraction. Washed geishas, they don't necessarily have much body, and doing the entire extraction, it's going to make it too thin and too silky. Some heavier coffees, yes, we want to extract chill a little bit longer, but maybe not full. And these studies have shown us that it really depends on the coffee.
그러면 혹시 아이스도 한번 먹어볼 수 있을까요?
Yeah, of course. I don't normally make cold coffees, but let's do it. I know iced coffees in Korea are very popular. We're gonna do something very different today. I just want to clean them up because they've been in the fridge for a long time. Make sure it does not disturb by extraction.
Doesn't it warm the ice ball?
A little bit, but we have a lot of special gel inside, so it will be absolutely fine. I mean, I'll put them back in the freezer. This one is the one that was sitting here for 20 minutes. It's still cold.
뭐야? 이거 되게 오래 가는구나.
Yeah, it's still pretty good. Alright, so we're gonna make iced coffee. We can change up. We're gonna use some Finca Debra. Did you enjoy it?
Very good.
Very good?
Yeah, very good.
Alright, is it better than Hitters?
Yeah.
No, better than Hitters.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm gonna go a little bit finer. Just to encourage a little bit more body with your cold coffee. The reason why is Finca Debra. This process is it's a very elegant process. Even though it's carbonic maceration, we've done the whole cherry process only for a few days, and then we pulped the coffee, and then coffee was finished as a washed. So we can expect more floral characters. Lighter body, very silky, very gentle, very elegant, very sparkling. So we know that these flavors we're gonna get naturally. We also, in order to make it super balanced, we wanna make sure we get sweetness, we get body, and we get our weight. So that's why we're going a little bit higher dose, 20 grams, and slightly bit finer in order to get this sort of sweet.
Is it a CM wash it?
It's CM washed, yeah. We will go 94 degrees, 1 degree higher, just to encourage more extraction.
Why you're not gonna use just ice?
In my opinion, when we're using ice, it's like when we're making a ristretto from the coffee. Yes, we will capture, like, if you're gonna use ice, that means that we're not using the entire water to extract all of the coffee. You might be going first 150 grams of the coffee and the water, and the rest is your ice in dilution. I'd love to do my full extraction to the best potential that I know I can control, and just use this ice cubes just to cool the coffee without doing dilution. When you wish to get body and the sweetness and balance, doing a bypass, what I would call it, it's okay. But when we have such a beautiful refined coffee, we need to extract entire extraction. You are getting most of the aroma volatiles at the beginning, but then you're getting more towards the end. We will always have more balanced acidity when we do full extraction as opposed to just the first stage. Acidity will be sweeter, rounder, smoother. Aftertaste will be more pleasant.
You also cutting the filter or not?
Yeah, I've cut the filter at the bottom to have nice and even flow.
Yeah, 20 grams.
20 grams. Yeah. All right, let's do this. The scale is not working. Well, somehow it died, but that's okay. We can can freestyle a little bit. I think I poured about 60.
60.
I think. Next one will, all of the other pours we're gonna go 60 grams each, 5 pours. Again, same as before. We're gonna pour right in the middle. And you can see that we've created this small dome, like a bed. It's a wash coffee, so definitely no more than 2. 105. We'll top it up to 120, and you can see that I'm just pouring very slow, making sure I'm not getting much turbulence. I guess important, if we do cut the filter, we can see that nice flat pour. Because this is a wash process coffee, my following pour will not be at 135, it will be at 140. Wait a little bit longer so we can extract a little bit more out of this coffee. 180. And in about 215, and an extra 5 seconds on top of what we've done before, we'll do a final pour. So it's gonna be 300 grams out, more or less, imagining that the first one was 60. Okay. Ice cube inside.
Wow.
And I'll get one of the big ones.
와우. 진짜 스페셜한.
There you go. Cheers.
와, 미쳤. 아, 먹어본 적이 없는데 이거 엄청 진짜 허브 같은 민트 느낌이 되게 많이 나는데? It's like herb. Yeah, green tea. Green.
It's almost like hops, with that sort of bit of passion fruit sort of flavor coming through. Yeah, it's very aromatic, very aromatic. Like, of course, this is the first time I made this, never made it before. I expected that we're gonna get a lot of flavor because, of course, we're using Paragon, we're getting more aromatics. We've done the full extraction as well, so that's helping us to not to restrict, not to just get half of the extraction, but we managed to get full. So I'm not, and of course, knowing that Finca Debra has amazing jasmine florals, tea-like sensations, very elegant. For me, I'm getting a bit of that orange sort of notes coming through as well.
굉장히 매력적이다 이게.
Kind of like bergamot. Sort of next time when I make it, I will definitely go a little bit finer. I would go a little bit hotter temperature as well. 20 gram dose is okay, and I would go longer pauses in between pours. So maybe my first brew would be 35 seconds, but when I do my second brew, I would do it in 1 minute. So I would wait another 25 seconds before I do second brew. That's going to give us more sweetness and more body. And as you remember when we were saying, when we were designing the recipe, the goal was to highlight what's good about Debra. Jasmine, floral, tea, all of these beautiful notes. But I also wanted to improve the body and the sweetness.
게토레이 맛 나.
Yeah, you are right. It's very Gatorade-like. Especially like when it's sitting on a palate a little bit longer.
아, 이게 너무 클린하고 너무 맛있어. 마지막으로 저희 구독자분들에게 좀 해주실 말씀이 있으실까요?
Of course, I miss being in Korea. I haven't been there for 4 years. Since 2014, I've spent there every single year. I miss your food, samgyeopsal. Cannot wait to go there and have some
soju.
Have some soju as well. But yeah, first of all, I'd love to thank you for coming all the way to Canberra. It's incredible that you made your way here. Huge respect for what you do. I think we need a lot more people like yourself in the industry to talk about coffee professionals, and you're doing an incredible job sharing the stories and then sharing the message of how amazing specialty coffee is. And I'd love to say hi to everyone in a coffee in Korea, and looking forward to seeing you, I hope this year. Thank you.